I'm Tom Hiles, and I'm Vice Chancellor for University Advancement. I think I know most of the folks, but we're here for a very special announcement, which is always one of my favorite things to do. And we're excited particularly because we have our good friend Walt Potter here, who's been so generous to the university over the years and also is a member of our National Campaign Cabinet. I talked to him earlier, and one time when we were walking to a campaign cabinet meeting, he told me about the number of times or the number of hours that he spent at Heidelberg when he was a graduate student at Mizzou. So I told him we were thinking about, that was our second choice, is to have the event at the Heidelberg, but maybe we can do that after the announcement as well, so he can share about that. But we're very pleased to have also Dean Mills here, who will make a response. Chancellor Lofton will be making the announcement in a minute, and then Dean Mills will speak on behalf of the School of Journalism, and then we'll hear from our guest of honor, Walt Potter. So with no further ado, let me introduce Chancellor Lofton for the announcement.
It's a great day here in Mizzou, a very great day. It's also got warmer. I appreciate that much. This is a great day again, as I said, and one which we really have worked up to over a while. I've really enjoyed getting to know Walt. We've had some conversations, and I know the passion he has for Mizzou. He is a proud graduate of our School of Journalism, the world's best. Right, Dean?
Thank you.
Okay. And this happens to be the second gift announcement we've made this fall and the third this year for the J School alone, major gifts. So they're on a roll right now, And I think the dean has announced his ultimate retirement at the pinnacle, probably. So we'll see. The bar is set very high right now. But these represent ways for the school to continually do things that are new and exciting, to continue to evolve, to meet this dynamic world of journalism's needs for new people. And we know the impact that Mizzou has worldwide in journalism. We're celebrating today the generosity of Walter B. Potter, Jr. Undergrad degree in history from Vanderbilt. We forgive you for that, sir. You did the right thing after that by coming here, receiving your MA from the J School, and of course your career was centered around the newspaper business. He was a third generation of community newspaper leadership in his family, third generation. His father owned and managed community papers, and his mother was an award-winning reporter and photographer. He started at a late age of 13 when his daddy said, "Time to get to work, son." And like many others, he clearly has printer's ink in his blood. He worked for the KC Star, the Nashville Banner, as a business reporter and editor before returning to family roots in Virginia, where he worked as the editor and business manager of the Independent Messenger of Emporia, Virginia, a paper founded by his grandfather, hence the third generation. Walt has been continually engaged for some time now with this university. He is a member of the Jefferson Club, the Walter Williams Society, the Legacy Society, and as was mentioned by Tom Hiles a moment ago, serves on the campaign cabinet for our current comprehensive capital campaign. He's also a life member of the Mizzou Alumni Association. But it gives me extraordinary pleasure and pride today to announce that Walt is committing $1 million to augment the Walter B. Potter Fund for Innovation in Local Journalism. Walt's an efficient individual, so he's not just here to talk to us right now. Well, we appreciate that coming up in a moment here. He's also to kick off the annual Walter B. Potter Senior Conference, Innovation and Transformation in Community Journalism at the RJI. So he has another couple of days in front of him giving back to this extraordinary university. This gift will further advance the MU School of Journalism as the worldwide leader in journalism teaching, research, and innovation. Walt's found a meaningful way to advance his passion for his life's work in community journalism. And we thank him so deeply for his generosity and for supporting an industry that's vital to our democracy. Here to tell us more about the impact of his philanthropy on the J School and our students is Dean Mills.
We celebrate today the generosity of someone who has spent his life in the service of community journalism. He got a start, as the Chancellor has noted, as a paperboy working for the Culpeper Star Exponent. Since then, Walt Potter has lent his considerable talents to both the editorial and business sides of newspapers, large and small. But it's the small community newspaper, the kind that his family stewarded for 3 generations, that is perhaps closest to his heart. It's a passion, of course, that is shared by the Missouri School of Journalism, and that's why we are particularly fond of this latest gift from Walt. While so much of the conversation about American journalism these days focuses on the media's dire financial prospects, small community news organizations are not only surviving, but thriving. These organizations are crucial to democracy at the local level. They give citizens the news and information they need to build and maintain strong communities. This generous gift will strengthen those organizations through the generations by helping them to use the latest technologies and approaches to provide rigorous and useful journalism to their audiences. Mr. Potter created the Walter B. Potter Fund for Local Journalism in 2010 to enhance teaching and research about journalism that serves small communities, and to support journalists in those communities as they make the transition from print to digital. The endowment, which this $1 million commitment will supplement, underwrites the Walter B. Potter Senior Conference, a program of the Reynolds Journalism Institute. Launched in 2011, the Potter Conference brings together community news executives and leaders for an exchange and dialogue about the best practices that will help them sustain local journalism. Over the past 4 years, several hundred journalists representing more than 2,000 individual newspapers have participated in Potter conferences at RGI headquarters here and in Virginia, New York, Mississippi, Illinois, Kentucky, Michigan, Louisiana, Alabama, and Georgia, and we're just starting, right, Walt? The Potter Conference returns to RGI, in fact, this week with the program Innovation and Transformation in Community Newspapers. Participants from 21 news organizations will share with each other their proven ideas to generate revenue, boost readership, and improve their operations. Walt is visiting Frigid, Missouri, primarily to attend that conference, but we're delighted that he could arrange to come in a day early so that we could acknowledge all that he and his family have done for the J School and for community journalism. Please join me in thanking Walt Potter for his investment in both the Missouri School of Journalism and the future of community news. Walt has asked for a chance to defend himself.
Thank you all for coming. It's really nice to see all of y'all, some old faces, including folks who steered me in the right direction when I was on campus more than 3 decades ago. I also want to thank Vice Chancellor Hiles, Chancellor Lofton, Dean Mills for their kind remarks, even though they stole some of the thunder of the speech I was rehearsing in the hotel. But I appreciate them getting all that out there. And I just want to respond by saying that it is my honor to support the School of Journalism and the university through the Potter Fund. But let me expand on that for a few minutes. Saying it's my honor kind of sounds like what a typical thing a donor might say, doesn't it? But in my case, it really is true. I really do feel like it's an honor to be able to create and support the Potter Fund, and through it, the best journalism school in the world and the great University of Missouri. And let me explain a little bit about why. First, as previously reported, I am a third-generation newspaperman, and 3 generations of my family have enjoyed satisfying careers in the great journalism profession. That makes it easy to give back and an honor to do so. Secondly, in my own individual case, my time at the University of Missouri was a turning point in my life. I mean, again, it's kind of a cliche to say something that is changed your life, but in my case, it was really true. My career took a sharp turn upward, and more importantly, the people I met at Mizzou and the ideas that I acquired enriched my life and to the present day. Again, it's just natural to want to give back when you've received so much. And in particular, the work that the Chancellor and Tom talked about in terms of raising funds for the university as a whole on the campaign cabinet and so forth. I just really want to help future students have some of the gifts that I've had from the University of Missouri. So again, it's an honor, a genuine honor to serve on the campaign cabinet, and I look to do more in terms of providing my time as well as my funds. One more thing about why it's an honor to provide these gifts, and it also got started here at the University of Missouri. As a graduate student more than 3 decades ago, I was required to take something called comprehensive exam. And it was one of those exams where you stay up all night trying to get ready for it, but it also was an exam that made me think about journalism and communications in general. On that exam, there were questions about something called teletext. Anybody here remember teletext? We have one. But teletext and some of the other technologies that were talked about on the exam were precursors to the digital communication that has grown into the internet and everything else that has been so creative and destructive in the several decades since. It sort of, again, Mizzou sort of prepared me for what was coming up. And I'm sad to say that some of the publications I was privileged to work for are no longer there. The Nashville Banner, Press Time, which was the journal of the Trade Association for the newspaper industry, they're gone. The morning paper in Kansas City I work for is still there, but the nameplate, the Kansas City Times, is gone. In fact, among newspaper people of my age, there's a drinking game among some of us in which we compete to see which one of us has worked for the most papers that are now no longer in existence. With 3 on my resume, I still lose a lot of the time. And as some of you may know, losing at a drinking game is not a good thing. So that sort of begins to explain why the Potter Fund's so important to me, because the Potter Fund's goal is to help community newspapers find ways to deal with these creative, destructive new technologies, and most importantly, find a way not only to survive, but to thrive using them. So now I hope you understand something about why I'm so passionate about what the Potter Fund is doing. Of course, having decided that we need to do something, there's still the question of what to do. It's my experience as a small-town publisher that, at least for me, gave the answer. When I started out in Emporia, Virginia, now Emporia, Virginia was named after Emporia, Kansas, and that is a story involving congressmen drinking late into the night, but it's a story for another time. Like a quarter century ago, I'm a newly minted publisher, and my first job, given to me by my father, was figure out this newfangled desktop publishing and these crazy new devices called personal computers. Now, those of you who've been around small town papers know that there are not very many employees and even fewer resources. So the publisher becomes the employee of last resort. So I spent the first 10 weekends I was in Emporia studying up on the new technology and figuring out what was best for us. I had to become the research department for the Independent Messenger. In the years since, it's become increasingly clear to me that what small town papers need, because they are so time pressed and resource limited, need someone to provide the research department for them, to become the go-to destination when they have questions like, what technology do I buy? How do I use it? We want to make the Potter conferences and the other endeavors the Potter Fund supports to be the first thing they think about when they need to have these questions answered, to become the go-to destination for community publishers, the same way that the School of Journalism is the go-to destination for people who want questions about journalism in general answered, and the way the university is the go-to destination for people in many lines of things. So you can see why I'm passionate, I'm excited, and why it is definitely an honor to be able to, through the Potter Fund, to contribute to these important endeavors. So gentlemen, I thank you for the opportunity so much, and thanks to all of you all for coming. Appreciate it a great deal.
Wait 1 second, Walt, before you go now. We do have refreshments in the back. We have reporters who may be wanting to ask questions, but I will say one thing quickly. When you threw out the second, all of you all, I thought I was back in Texas where Bowen and I spent time at Texas A&M, but I thought that was impressive. But the last thing I want to say to thank you, Walt, is that you alluded to honor, that you were honored to provide that support. And it's one of the things for my team and me that makes me feel like I have the best job on campus, because my wife, who is also a journalist, she's been around a lot of donors, and she said, you know, these people, they give you a lot of these gifts, and then they say thank you, and that I'm honored to give it. And it's really inspiring to see someone who could use their resources in many other ways give back in this way. And many of the students that and faculty that will support this will not see that, will not meet you necessarily, but will benefit from you. So we've got a little bit of an unveiling, and then we'll have time to answer questions. So one more round of applause for Walt Potter.
So Walt, we wanted to give you a memento of this day that we think represents the spirit of the Potter Conference. Several things. This comes from Paris. Paris, Missouri. This was one of the sketches that Norman Rockwell did in the Monroe County Appeal in Paris for a cover for Saturday Evening Post. And it's particularly appropriate for the theme of new technologies, because anybody who has ever been in a newsroom like this knows that this could not happen. Because if these were, well, number one, the wheels are not truly engaged, so it couldn't be distributing these newspapers. If the wheels were turning, this guy would be in the middle of one of those wheels. And there's several, so of course Rockwell did it over the course of several days and compressed several things together. But despite its lack of absolute authenticity, we thought that you might enjoy it.
It's great. Thank you so much.